I would like to call the July 19th, 2016 regular meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Due to our packed crowd tonight, I've asked Steve, because he is this week's birthday boy, so he's going to lead us in the pledge. Thank you, Steve. Moving on, I'm looking for an approval of the agenda. Motion and a second.
Second.
Moved by Navy, second by Hunt. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We have an agenda. Public comment would be that first item. Nothing tonight. Moving on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda for this evening includes the minutes of June 28th, 2016 work study session, minutes of June 28th, 2016 business meeting, routine personnel, bid calendar, disbursements, bid awards, and previous awarded bid rejection and award to next lowest bidder. Are there any items on there that anyone would like to pull? Teresa?
We pulled G?
G? Okay. So I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items A through F.
So moved.
Moved by OJ, second by Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to G. Previous awarded bid rejection and award to next lowest bidder. Randy, do you want to?
Yeah, what ended up happening here is we went out for a long-term facilities maintenance project, and the timeline was short here. So technically what ended up happening was the information, the bid opening was the day before the board meeting. We got the information to the board. You approved it. There was a difference of 30-some thousand in the bids. There were two bidders, Corval and Train at the time, and we awarded it to Corval. They accepted it, and then when we went over when LHB was going over the specs, and Mike were going over the specs with them, they realized that they had only bid one chiller instead of two, even though in this bid specs it did outline two chillers, etc. And so they had requested from the district and our architect to withdraw from the bid, and we granted that request, or we'd like to grant that request, and award it to the next lowest bidder. The only other bidder would be Train. In all honesty, when we saw that bid from Corval initially, we were like, oh, that's pretty low, because we thought Train's was within the vicinity of a good bid. So, we had some options here. We could have taken their performance bond, because they're supposed to be bonded, and they did give us a bond. In all my 17 years, I've never done that, because you want to keep your relationship with vendors. So normally what you do is you release them if they make a bid mistake. Normally you haven't awarded it. It's usually before the award, then you go to the next lowest bidder after that. But in this case, it was kind of an interesting process because of the short timeline between when we opened the bid. We had to get the information to Kim, to get it in the board packet, etc. So the timing of this is kind of unique, but under the circumstances, I think it's good business, and I would recommend rejecting the previous bid award to Corval, and approving the next lowest bidder in Train, and the only bidder actually for the project. So it's been real difficult getting people to bid on projects right now because of the people are busy. So,
does anybody have any other questions? Steve?
I think Train would be a fine company from what I know, but
they're exceptional.
Could you just give us the really short, condensed version of exactly what this project will do and when it will be done by to kind of refresh us?
It hopefully we'll get going on it now. We want it to have have it to be done in the next couple months. Chiller, it's a HVAC, air conditioning, that type of thing, project. So replacing, chillers in North High School.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve item G from the consent agenda. Moved by Yenner, second by Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the reports, we'll start with Superintendent. I have kind of a...
All right, good evening, directors of the board. I'm going to quickly pull up a document here for your review. First on my update this evening is actually a quick discussion of levy communication plans right now. And I have one document that I'd like to share with you and to our vast viewing audience. We now have our levy fact sheet complete. It's important to note that this document is the cornerstone of all district levy communications going forward. As we give various presentations going forward and discussions and information that we put out from the district, we've got some things like a little bookmark coming out and some stickers that'll help remind people about the day to vote, things like that. All that information will be pulled from this levy fact sheet. So I really want to take a moment just to highlight it. This is also posted on our levy website. You'll see in the upper corner of the left corner of this fact sheet, this has our logo that's going to help us get through levy season and make sure people remember that November 8th is our election date. It also gives us fast facts about the history of our work together. Importantly, I'd like to highlight a section in the middle of the first page which talks about after our last levy request failed, we as a district listened. We took some time to survey the community. We simplified our request and we reduced our ask. So all of that information is in this levy fact sheet. This also shows you a comparison chart of our operating levy compared to neighboring school districts, budget cut history, and again, the priorities for the funding of the levy, if it should pass, where the money would go. So just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that new fact sheet. Tonight is a shorter board meeting. We won't be doing a full presentation, but there will be another one coming at the August meeting. And in the meantime, I want to just make sure everybody's remembering to check our district website for current updates on the levy. Additionally, board members have received some information about reminders about, as district personnel and as school board members, do's and don'ts for communication around levy information. So you have that as well. And with that, if I don't have any questions, I'm going to jump to strategic plan.
Anyone have any questions about that? Looks like you can move on.
All right. As a reminder, we talked earlier about strategic plan effort that happened in the fall. We started with a big, broad community gathering session. We called it a World Cafe, where we had nearly 1,000 participants helping us to build the priorities for our work. That information is also posted on our strategic plan website. I just wanted to direct your attention to a document that's in the board packet. So for people checking your board packet, beginning on page 37, you all received a timeline for the next phases of our strategic plan work. We basically have 5 committees being formed. We will have a measurement team, and then we will have 4 action teams that are going to be anchored to the 4 action areas of our strategic plan. As a reminder, and it's all laid out in the timeline that was issued to you in your board packet, the strategic plan draft will not come to the board for approval until December. So there's a lot of work to be done between now and December. And we are still looking for some members to fill in a few spots on these action teams, including board members. You'll have the opportunity, if you choose to, sign up for one of those 5 committees as well. Because we really are going to be having each of these committees will involve a 3-day commitment. And those dates were also listed for you in your board packet and for the viewing public as well. So just wanted to update you on the timeline. The next phase of that committee work has not begun yet. It will begin on August 24th. I do have one slight correction, however. In the board packet, we listed that August 24th would be the day for the measurement team to get together. That's actually going to be on that will still be on that'll be August 23rd. And the action teams will be on August 24th. So everything's been backed up one day. And I'll follow that up. It'll be posted on our strategic plan website as well. But when we put out this packet to you last week, we did mention that the day might change because we were still finalizing a facilitator. Any questions about the timeline?
Anyone have any questions?
All right. It also came to you in your weekly update as well as your board packet. So for the viewing audience, just remember our strategic plan website is daily kept current. So we look forward to and entertain any comments and questions from the public as well. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Moving on to action items, we start with the business office and acknowledgement of contributions, and Nancy has that honor tonight.
Thank you. Minnesota Statute 123B.02 permits school boards to, quote, receive for the benefit of the district bequests, donation, or gifts for any proper purpose and apply the same to the purpose designated. In that behalf, the board may act as trustee of any trust created for the benefit of the district and for the benefit of pupils thereof. Therefore, the Director of Business Services recommends the following resolution. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 622 that the school board accept with appreciation the following contributions and permit their use as designated by the donors. First, JL Holdings donated $250 to the John Glenn Creed Program. The Grand Knight of the Council donated $1,406.41 to Community Bridge. Robert Malm, $100 for Meals on Wheels. Ron Sushak, T-shirts for Community Bridge Community Bridge T-ball softball tournament valued at $161.50 for Community Bridge. M.E. Hafner, $200 for Meals on Wheels to honor Gigi Fitzpatrick, and we certainly miss Gigi. Vadnais Heights Lions Club, $1,000 for Meals on Wheels. Mike and Allison Hughes, 8 paintings valued at $1,500 for Tartan Theater. Cowan PTG, an electronic sign valued at $15,000 for Cowan Elementary School. That's the end of our donations. The total fiscal year for 2016-2017 monetary contributions is $2,956.41. Thank you so much for your generosity. I would move the resolution.
We have a motion by Livingston.
Second that.
Second by Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and once again, thank you very, very much. Moving on to Human Resources. We have a Nutrition Services Master Contract Approval. Do you want to talk to that real quick, Keith?
Sure. Good evening. We were able to negotiate a contract proposal for a tentative agreement with our nutrition services group. They've met and voted on this contract, and so now it's before you. It's very similar to previous contracts in that we are doing lump sum payments rather than increasing salary schedules so that those amounts don't go forward beyond the year that they were dispensed. So, and health insurance cap went up 1%.
Anyone have any questions for Keith? I wonder if you move the microphone itself, if it will stop.
What are we doing now?
Any questions? Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 622 that the 2015-2017 North St. Paul Maplewood Oakdale Association for Nutrition Services Master Agreement be approved. Looking for a motion in a second.
So moved.
Moved by Livingston,
Second.
second by Hunt. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Then we have non-unit salary approval.
Similar kind of settlement in that we're doing lump sum payments. This is a group that isn't represented by a bargaining unit. These are supervisors and professional staff who are not licensed in the typical sense of a teacher or a principal. So this will also be 0 on salaries, but lump sum payments in both years and 1% increase on health insurance.
Any questions on that for Keith? Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 622 that the 2015-2017 non-unit package outlined as presented be approved. Looking for a motion in a second. Moved by Navy, second by Ogier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Can I ask Keith a question?
Yes.
Keith, can you just remind us which bargaining units have yet to settle?
We are yet to settle with Local 70. We do have a tentative, but they're needing to meet on that and ratify that. So next time you'll see that one, I'm pretty sure.
Thank you.
Moving on to the school board, we need to set agenda, time, and location for our August 9th, 2016 work study session. That work study session would begin at 4:30 in conference room 202 of the District Education Center and include the following items: icebreaker, superintendent check-in, and achievement briefing. Any discussion on that? Teresa?
Since it's only 90 minutes, I'm just wondering if the proposal would be a flipped achievement or if we should have it start at 4 for 2 hours. Just a thought, since that's a pretty short time frame.
Right, we can certainly make that a flipped presentation. This will be with Chrislyn Goodman again, and she's been quite adept at doing flipped presentations for us, so
And
not a problem.
a lot of that data is still embargoed, right? So it's not
Correct.
going to be available. So it's not the full achievement
Right.
piece.
It's just an initial look at the achievement.
Any other discussion on that? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve that agenda, time, and location of that work study session. Moved by Navy,
Second.
second by Livingston. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will move on to board communications. Teresa, you want to start this evening?
I've had some inquiries from several of our our homeschool community and our faith-based community questioning our safety in schools. I think it's in light of what's going on across the region and across the country. I've directed those calls to, or asked them to contact the superintendent's office on that. But I also said that that is one of the initiatives of our levy, is safety. So I'm hoping that we use that as an item that can be well understood by the public in light of what's going on. And the other thing I wanted to mention is the Joint Powers Arena meeting is postponed another month. We were unable to have a quorum, so we are going to meet in August rather than in July.
Add to that?
If I could just make one quick comment. I just wanted to let the board know and the viewing public as well that part of our planning as we get ready for Welcome Back to School is really focusing on support and professional development for all of our educators so that they can welcome and support students who might want to have discussions or conversations about racial equity and support systems in school for students of color or interactions such as that. So we are putting together professional development for our teachers and administrators before school begins so that we can support, in light of the the recent events, not only locally but nationally.
Caleb?
Last week I had the pleasure of going to a playground dedication ceremony at Beaver Lake Elementary, and it's a very exciting playground, mixed use, so that children all over the community, despite what limitations or talents that they have, it's going to be something that's going to keep them entertained and keeping them active and healthy. And I really appreciate all the work that the school district administrators have done, the building officials, and also our partnerships with the City of Maplewood and some of the corporate partnerships helped really make this a fantastic outcome.
Thank you, Caleb. Nancy?
Just to echo Caleb's remarks about Beaver Lake, I too went to that dedication. I know you were there too, Amy. It's just an awesome asset for the community. The little kids were just so engaged, and all the equipment is up to standards now, and the staff over there is just thrilled. A shout out to Ruth Paisley, the staff person who was really behind it. She just worked on this for 3 years and then retired. But she brought in community partners and enthusiastic donors, and the result is just a terrific asset for our community. They still have a few things to do there, so it's still a work in progress, but it's just looking great.
Thank you, Nancy. Steve? Becky? Michelle? Yeah, I just want to say, thank you to all the people that worked so very, very hard on that Beaver Lake playground. It'd be really fun to put in like our weekly newsletter a picture of that playground before, because it was so bad. And it's so beautiful now. So just like the before and after, because it's pretty compelling. With that, we have our future board meeting dates: August 9th, 2016 work study session at 4:30. And August 23rd, 2016, we'll have a regular business meeting at 6:00 p.m. right here in the boardroom. With that, I'm looking for a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Livingston.
Second.
Second by Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
During a meeting, am I supposed to make a comment? Or, okay, as long as we can all have the time. Okay. I didn't know if I had to make a formal announcement.
And that's just a